Welcome to this week's video, and this one is personally a very exciting one for me. At the time of the recording, it has been exactly 1 year since I have been meditating for 40 minutes every single day. This time, a year ago, I went on a meditation retreat in Byron Bay, Australia, and learned a Vedic meditation practice, which meant that I started a very consistent meditation practice that consisted of 2 meditations a day, 20 minutes each. Now, before that time, I've been meditating for many, many years, but to tell you the truth, it was sometimes somewhat inconsistent. For the last few years, it was consistent, but it was always around maybe those 15 minutes, and most of the time it was a guided meditation. Now, there's nothing wrong with meditating only for 15 minutes and or even 5. And in fact, this is one of the things I'm going to be talking about in this video, or having a guided meditation. But the transformation that I noticed in me and how I feel and how I go about life literally happened in those last 12 months. And the impact having a practice of effectively just sitting with yourself is so powerful that I cannot overstate how important that is. Even if it is not a formal meditation practice where you sit with yourself for 40 minutes or how long that is on a daily basis, having time with yourself when you're not distracted is so precious. And the wind is picking up here, and it is also incredibly rare in this modern life when we have distractions available at the palms of our hands. So let me share with you some of the key things that have shifted within me and that had the most profound impact on me. Number one is the awareness of my thoughts. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how it is so empowering to realize that we can choose what we think and how we interpret different life situations that occur. Yet, we can't really fully utilize that power or discover that power within us unless we're actually aware of what we are thinking already and what those patterns and stories in our minds are. So having a practice where you sit with yourself and you watch your thoughts and you become familiar with your mind has been one of those keys for me personally to unlock that. Only after I started doing that, I started noticing very consistently the narratives running in my head, and that was the first step to really being able to change that. So that's been number one. Number two is I have started to like myself a lot more. This is a bit of a weird thing to say, but I think initially it was very daunting to just sit with myself all that time without any distractions. You're forced to face yourself as you are. But as the time went on, what I realized is I actually started to look forward to those 20 minutes each session of being just with me and kind of really doing an inventory of what is going on in my mind, how am I feeling, and feeling really at peace with that. The third and the point that has made a really big impact, and for me probably one of the most profound ones, although it's hard to separate which one, they all are very meaningful. But realizing that I can sit with any feeling, and being able to sit with any feeling is, I'm going to use that word again, I feel like it's a theme in all my videos, but is incredibly empowering, because when you know that you can sit with any feeling, you know you can handle anything. Nothing really, I don't want to say nothing scares you, because it's normal if something scares you, but it doesn't stop you from going into it, and you're not losing sleep over it. And that's the shift that I've noticed. I still, of course, feel the spectrum of all emotions. In fact, I probably feel them deeper and more fully because I'm not running away from them. But I now know that whatever the emotion is, even if it's unpleasant, I can absolutely handle it. And I think that's what happens when you are forced to sit with yourself, no matter how you're feeling. In our day-to-day life, we're typically so used to just running away from unpleasant feelings and numbing them with food and Netflix and social media, and at least these are the things I used to be doing. That really being able to sit with it and then realize that, well, hold on a second, nothing has really happened. The sky hasn't fallen and I'm still me. Super liberating. It is so liberating that it is so worth those 20, 40, 10, whatever minutes a day that you dedicate to yourself. So, look, whilst maybe on the outside, my life hasn't changed profoundly, although actually it depends on how you look at it. I think in many aspects it has, and I have been getting feedback from people who are really close to me that I have been a lot more grounded and maybe more positive and light in my life in general. But even if we look at it on kind of global scale, I still do normal things people do. The way I feel is so different if I think about where I was 365 days ago. And I wasn't, a miserable person in a bad space by no means, but it is such a big difference being really able to watch your thoughts and know that this is something that it's my control, it's in my power to really know that there is a pause between the stimulus and the response, that I can choose how to respond, that I can sit with myself no matter what, that I can handle any sort of emotion. And the reason why I wanted to share this is because for many, many years, I have found it so challenging to have a consistent meditation practice. And even though I've done so many different things, I think I've covered that in some videos, and I'm sure at some point in the future, I'll talk about it in a bit more detail. Doing that has been always tricky. So I really wanted to use this maybe more of a inspiration. Yeah, if you've been wanting to try it or kind of haven't been able to be consistent, hopefully my story and my experience can serve as something of a push or an inspiration to really get into it. So if you're considering to start a meditation practice and do not know how to begin and what's the best way to approach it, there's a couple of things I want to say. One is, if you can attend a training program or a course, this probably would be the best way. That's the one that had the biggest impact on me personally, and that's the one that unlocked that commitment and dedication. So for me, that's number one. I do know it's not super realistic for everyone, so perhaps doing some kind of a meditation challenge, effectively something that really forces you to get into a habit for a period of time until it becomes ingrained in your routine, I think is really important and can be super useful. And number three is start small. I know 40 minutes might sound really daunting and, it sounds like a long time. For me, it doesn't feel that way anymore, and I have found ways to incorporate it into my routine because it is so important to me now. However, for many, many years, I was doing much smaller practices. And when it comes to discipline and developing habits that really serve us in our lives, starting small is always better. It feels more realistic, and if it feels more realistic, you have more chances of sticking to it. And that's the most important part of it. So here it is. Here are the key, my personal profound changes in my meditation practice, and I would love to hear about your experience with meditation. And of course, if that's not something that you've adapted in your day-to-day life yet, I would love for you to try and hear more about how you go. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.